Yo, what's up? Welcome to another build guide. So Flicker Strike, it was one of the most requested skill, builds to me in this league, Ritual League. But I actually avoided doing that because here is the reason. So first of all, I'm going to explain that. Because most people, especially in my country, doesn't have stable internet connection. You can have, packet loss, those kind of stuff. So that means that you have to play in predictive mode. If you are one of those guys, you cannot play this build at all. So yeah, there is that unfortunate news. So if you can play in lockstep mode, if your internet connection is good, feel free to do this build. So that's why I avoided doing this, because most people watching this video cannot do this build, unfortunately. So Flicker Strike is an unpredictable skill. You just press the button and it just teleports everywhere, kills monsters. So sounds fun, looks fun. So yeah, if you want to try it, test it, here's a good endgame build. The character I picked is a Gladiator because again it's an unpredictable skill. Anything like a Raider, or maybe, I don't know, you can probably do this on a Berserker maybe, or a Slayer. So those kind of characters doesn't have that much defensive options, in their own Ascendancy kit. That's why I picked a Gladiator. Maybe if you have a Headhunter or something, you can play one of those characters. But because I don't use Headhunter in my builds, that's why I picked a Gladiator. So my character is tanky. We are also kept at block 79, attack block 79, spell block. So a very tanky character, because I wanted to see how far this character can go, because it's a flicker build. Yeah, on most bosses you cannot even dodge some stuff. That's why I also did Maven and Maven invitations. So you are gonna also watch that Feared, I believe, the hardest content, the hardest Maven invitation. I also did those. Of course I died a couple of times. It is like impossible to do those without dying, because you cannot dodge anything at all. But the DPS is crazy if you have a similar gear. So yeah, we are gonna not all talk about those. So as usual, let's watch the clips and I will be back later.
A few moments later. Four moments later.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Yeah, boy. Eventually.
Alright, I'm back. Let's start with the items, but before that, so here is the thing about Flicker Strike. I actually do not recommend this as a league starter because you need some key unique items like a Paradoxica Sword for good DPS, a Pharaoh's Fury body armor to generate frenzy charges, so stuff like that. But you can easily do this build after week 2 or maybe week 3, depending on your playtime, depending on how well you know the game and can farm currency, But you can easily start as a duelist, maybe champion, and play as Cyclone, a very solid league starter, which I also have a lot of guides about that. So yeah, you can do that, and after you farm the currency and bought some key items, you can just easily switch to Flicker Strike. So yeah, let's start with the items now. So weapon, Very easy and cheap way to get a lot of DPS. A paradoxical sword, you just want good physical DPS, so that's what you should search for. Just type some attack speed, so it will have some attack speed on it, and physical DPS, that's it. Mine has 182 DPS. It is not that crazy, but not that bad at all. So yeah, just try to go for as much as you can. Maybe you can even get 190 DPS or 170, that's also fine. You won't miss that much DPS because it's a Paradoxica, broken weapon. I still don't know why this weapon didn't get any nerf. Interesting. Shield. This is probably maybe expensive in a hardcore league, but that's not that expensive in a softcore, but maybe it will be at a league start. There are actually better rare shields compared to this, so this is actually a budget item for this build. So surrender. Because I also wanted to get some extra physical mitigation first of all, that's why I picked a corrupted one with physical damage from hits taken as fire as an implicit. You can get that maybe later, but yeah, try to get some good implicit if you want. Because we are also playing with Abyssus, that's why we want some extra physical mitigation. So why we are using this shield? Recover 250 life when you block, so that's a very good thing. But here is the reason, that's actually the reason this shield isn't the best, let's say. Because that is only a 250 block, that means that you cannot scale it on rare shields. There is like a 5% or maybe 6%, I'm not sure, life block. So that's why if you scale more life, if your character has a better life pool, that means that you will recover more life when you block. So eventually, maybe you can get a rare shield with good armor, good recover life on block, life, maybe resist, or because it's a rare shield, you can also maybe get attack damage, attack speed, those kind of DPS stats. And even on influence shields, there's also socketed gems have reduced mana reservation. You can also get that, maybe to even activate one more buff or something like that, I'm not sure. So yeah, eventually a rare shield is actually better, but I didn't go for that. I didn't want to make the build more expensive, something like that. So yeah, a surrender is just enough. Helmet Abyssus, because we are playing Gladiator, this is a tank character, that's why we can safely use this. Because Abyssus provides a lot of DPS, flat 40 to 60 physical damage to attacks, which is huge. Since this is also a one-handed build, that damage is insane actually. Also a lot of crit multiplier, but the downside of this helmet is obviously increased physical damage taken. That's why we need good armor and physical mitigation. That's also why we put corruption on our surrender, physical damage taken as fire. So yeah, try to get some extra mitigation from your items if you want. And if you have the budget, also try to pick a helm enchant. So Berserk buff effect is very good for both DPS. You can also get something with Flicker Strike maybe. Or if you maybe can activate more buffs thanks to a rare shield or stuff like that. Maybe you can also get something with mana reservation reduction like Pride, maybe Precision, I'm not sure. So yes, you have to do the calculation. So any kind of those enchants will just work for this build. Body armor, Pharaoh Sphere. This is how you can generate frenzy charges. So since Flicker requires frenzy charges to attack, let's say, you have to generate them somehow. Flicker Strike already has a chance to get frenzy charges when you hit, but you need more than that. That's why Pharaoh Sphere is very important. So this is a must item for this build. This means that you also need Aspect of Cat buff somewhere on your items. You can put that on a ring or a glove, even on a boot, but it is hard to put that on boots because we are gonna explain that later. So yeah, make sure you have an Aspect of Cat on one of your items. You can just buy Farul, First of the Plains Beast, from someone else and craft it on your desired item, ring, gloves, amulet, whatever. But I don't recommend that on amulet because we actually want to also put less duration support gem on that item, so our aspect buffs, because aspect has two buffs, alright, it just cycles between cat stealth and cat agility. If you actually socket less duration support in that item, aspect of cat will also get that less duration. That means that those buffs have a the lower duration. That's actually very important, so you can generate those frenzy charges quicker. So we are gonna talk about that right now. So rings, let's talk about rings. So my first ring is an unset ring. That's why I picked an unset ring, because I put my aspect of cat on this item. You don't need an unset ring. You can craft aspect of cat on a glove or even boots, alright? So make sure that it is on a socketed item. If you want to pick a ring, you have to pick an unset ring. So other stats, just usual physical damage build stats, you know, physical damage to attacks, life, resist, that's it. Open prefix obviously helps, so you can reserve more mana for precision. So if you have an also open prefix on your jewelry, you can put non-channeling skills have -9 mana cost. And you can also use Fertile Catalyst if you want to boost that life on that item, and also that will boost that -9 to -10 mana cost. You can also do that, but I didn't do that because I needed resistances. That's why I put Prismatic Catalyst. My other ring, that is my curse choice. I picked Assassin Mark. You can maybe also go for Vulnerability, that's also good. But marks are most of the time way better. Just check better fueling if you want. If vulnerability is better for you, you can also pick a ring with that. Again, physical damage to attacks, life. Actually putting 1 accuracy on your items is very important, because it is hard to keep accuracy on a gladiator. My hit is actually 95%, which is not kept. So make sure you have accuracy on your one of your rings or an amulet, or it can also be gloves, alright? So make sure you have at least 1 good accuracy on one of your items, so you can have a decent hit chance. Yeah, these are the rings. So amulet, first of all, you probably want some intelligence, so that's why you should pick something with intelligence as a base. Other stats are obviously crit chance, not crit chance, crit multiplier, physical damage to attacks. These are the most important stats. After that, life is also very important, and maybe resist if you still need it, but you will probably need it, so make sure you put 1 resist, because we are playing with a lot of unique items. It is a little hard to keep resistances, so that's why you should put resistance on every piece. Also, one of my jewels also has a resist, I believe. You can also pick Bandit Alira if you want. I actually killed them all, so you can also get resistances if you help Alira, so don't forget that. You can also do that, but that means that you will lose 2 passive points, so you have to delete some stuff if you are following my talent tree. So other stats on amulet, finally, yeah, we already mentioned all of those. Again, if you have a prefix open, non-channeling skills, so make sure you can. So these are actually not that important. The worst scenario is if you cannot put any minus mana cost on your jewelry. That means that your precision will have a lower level, alright? But try to put at least one of those, so -9 mana. So that means that your other skills will also have a reduced mana cost, so you can easily use those on a boss fight, you know, the totems, blood rage, those kind of stuff. So yeah, gloves, so this is an important item. So first of all, for better clear speed, you want strike skills target 1 additional nearby enemy. So that's a modifier on Hunter base, I believe. So just check that, what's that, PoE database. You want a glove with that, and also another glove with maximum frenzy charges, and that is also on another influence, that is Warlord influence. So after that, obviously use Awakener Orb. For base type, you can pick Spike Gloves if you want. So just get the Spike Gloves with whatever is the cheaper, you know. Maybe maximum frenzy charges on a Spike Gloves is more expensive, so if that is the case, just go for strike skill target 1 additional on that Spike Glove and get frenzy on something else. Alright, just check the market, do not get the expensive one, because eventually you will click last on that Spike Glove, so that means that your gloves will be a Spike Gloves. Other stats, I just multi-moded it. Life and resist, nothing crazy, you can just do this easily. If you get very bad gloves, just sell it back, because these kind of crafts are most of the time profitable, because most people don't even try these. So yeah. Boots, obvious choices, Tailwind and Elusive. This is obviously a high budget build. You can skip Elusive if you want, just get Tailwind for more DPS. So yeah, Tailwind is for action speed, which means attack speed, movement speed, those kind of stuff. Elusive is for defense only, since we are not also using movement speed actually, because Flicker Strike just blinks around. You can skip maybe movement speed on that boot for a cheaper boot if you want. But because I use these boots on most of my builds, because it is like a best in slot for most of the builds these days, I always pick one with movement speed. But if you want to just play Flicker Strike, you can safely skip that movement speed if you want. And after that, obviously life and one resist at least. So yeah, for enchant, mine is actually as a wrong enchant because we don't need that stun avoidance that much. You can just go for maybe attack speed if you have killed recently for better mapping maybe. Or we can regenerate life if you have taken a hit, I believe, for more healing. So for physical builds actually there are not that much, you know, crazy boots enchants unfortunately, so just try to get something and maybe don't even bother with it, you know. That is not that important actually. Finally belts, probably the best for a physical impale build. Rice Latta Coil or whatever it is called. You just want something with more, the better more maximum physical attack damage is for more DPS, and the lower less minimum for less DPS loss, because your minimum attacks will actually deal less damage. So that means that you are gonna lose some DPS on your minimum hits, but your maximum hits will way more DPS. That's why you need a better, more damage roll. And life, that's it. Don't forget to catalyst it with attack catalyst, whatever it is named, just check it. So you will have better percentages on those physical attack damage rolls. So let's take a look at the Flasks. Because we don't need movement speed, we don't use Quicksilver. That means you can safely play with 2 unique Flasks while mapping. So number 1 choice is actually obviously Lion's Roar, more melee physical damage during effect. This is also a Granite Flask, that means more mitigation for us, so yeah, very good. My other unique Flask is a Bottled Fate. It is very cheap these days, so yeah, just pick one. It was like 2 Exile the last time I sold one. Very cheap these days. So increased damage taken to enemies on Consecrated Ground. It's a more damage multiplier, so that means a lot of DPS and also flat crit strike chance. That will also get scaled with your increased crit chances, so that is actually more than 1 point whatever. So yeah, a lot of crit, a lot of what's that, more damage thanks to the increased damage taken. A lot of DPS. Diamond Flask, because this is a crit build, obviously your crits will get calculated twice, so yeah, you have a higher chance to get a crit roll on an enemy. Also get a freeze or curse immunity, that is very important. Silver Flask for onslaught, again put whatever you are missing, curse or freeze immunity. I also go for reduced charge use all the time, so I can use it 2 times on a boss fight. That is also very important, because it consumes 30 charges if you do that, and you can just drink it twice. If you are not immune to Corrupt Blood, I actually got a Corrupt Blood immunity jewel because they are very cheap these days. Obviously if you want to put some DPS they are expensive, but I actually put resist, those kind of stuff, so that's why it was very cheap. So yeah, if you have a Corrupt Blood immunity, you can use a unique Life Flask, Blood of the Courier, because it heals better and it is the best Life Flask for Maven fight, because it also bypasses that healing debuff if you get hit by the lasers on the last phase or whatever. So yeah, very good Life Flask compared to the other what's that, magic ones, Eternal Life Flask, those kind of flasks. So if you are immune to Corrupt Blood, just pick one. I am actually not using Life Flask while mapping, I didn't need that. That's why I am playing with a Cinder Swallow Urn for onslaught and recover life, mana, those kind of stuff, so you can heal insanely while mapping. Because this is a silver flask, I am not using my other silver flask while mapping, and I am actually using a basalt flask for even more physical mitigation. And make sure you also roll that with reduced charge use and put curse or freeze whatever you are missing. So yeah, Lion's Roar, Battle Fate, Diamond, Sinner Swallow, and Basalt Flask. These are my mapping flasks while I am at a big boss map or something like that, or at a Guardian Conqueror, Cirrus Maven, whatever. I'm using Lion's Roar, Battle Fate, Diamond, Silver, and Blood of the Karui as a healing potion. This is where we're gonna talk about the talent tree, gems, those kind of stuff. This is obviously not final. You will see the final version when you click the link. So the values here might be different as usual because I haven't finished editing everything. So let's first of all take a look at the talent tree, what's going on. So we're a duelist, obviously. Let's just take a look at the jewels, those kind of stuff. So Thread of Hope, large. So this is a very popular area on Impale builds these days. I use this a lot. I also use this on Cyclone, because you can easily get Swift Skivering to get that Impale chance, which is very important. Without this you cannot have a decent Impale. So 97%. So without this we are gonna lose a lot of DPS and a lot of Impale chance. So this is very important. This saves us a lot of points. Panopticon or whatever for both DPS, because this buffs the effect of totems. You can easily use 2 different totems thanks to multiple totem support, which we are gonna talk about in the section, gem section. So this actually boosts those totem buffs, so this actually gives a lot of DPS. Simply broken. If this gets nerfed, I won't I won't be surprised, but we will still probably use this because who cares, a lot of DPS. Because this is a shield field, we need block and that kind of stuff. I also picked this here. And finally we are playing the sword, so Blade Dancer for more DPS. So a very good place to put that Thread of Hope, large jewel. Some stuff about block here, because this also gives damage equal to your block attack chance. So a lot of DPS, because we are at capped block, 79%. 79% spell block. So yeah. Intuitive leap here to get acuity, attack speed and accuracy, very important, because it is hard to keep accuracy on this build because Gladiator doesn't have any accuracy as far as I know. Friends charge obviously for Flicker Strike, some resist here, and Heartseeker for crit multiplier. Sword Wheel, crits are on the bottom line. This one provides a lot of block and also damage. On most builds you actually don't get these because these provides a little DPS, but since we need that block, we just use this upper side also for that block chance. Jewels. So this is my Corrupt Blood immunity. If you can get one, just go for it. Because I put Leech and Resist, this was very cheap because this doesn't provide any DPS for me. Since I don't have any Leech mana on my gear, sometimes you can find those on gloves or jewelry. Because I don't have that, I had to put this on a jewel. So yeah, because I don't want to put any points somewhere, because mana leech is here, because we are not here, we cannot take this. The other one is here, again you have to spend 2 points, you don't want that. So if your jewelry doesn't have any leech, make sure you get mana leech on a jewel. And maybe you can get also Corrupt Blood jewel, because they are very cheap on these kind of shit jewels. I also put some resistances because again it was cheap, this doesn't provide any DPS at all. So yeah. Watcher's Eye, impale you, inflict last 2 additional hits while using a Pride. This is best in slot, provides millions of DPS. If you have a lower budget, just pick something with Pride. Do not pick double damage because we are already dealing double damage all the time. You can just get attack physical damage while using Pride. Attack damage while using Precision, or crit multiplier while using Precision. Life, impale, let's see if we have any important stuff. Just stay 1 rare jewel I believe, apart from that Corrupt Blood immunity. Because this is a 100 build, you can get 100 crit multiplier, global crit multiplier, melee crit multiplier, life obviously, and resist. Resists are very important, so that's why my jewels have resists. because we are using a lot of unique items. Surrender. If you have a rare shield, things can be easier for you because that can have a resist, obviously. Abusus doesn't provide any resistances. Carousel, belt. So we are missing a lot of resistances from our items. That's why you have, maybe you will need that resist on that jewel, right? So try to get those. This wheel is very important. You can generate endurance charge while mapping because you have to kill enemies. So you can be even tankier while mapping. This also provides a lot of DPS, obviously, because we are playing with a shield. And that's about talent 3, I believe. Yeah, let's take a look at the gems. Flicker strike obviously on our body armor because that's the only 16 we are using. I'm using a default quality. There's actually divergent for teleport range. I'm not sure if that is good or not. You can test that. If you think it is better, just go for that maybe. But you will lose some friends charge on hit. Maybe that won't be that good, especially on boss fights. So yeah, you have to try that. I cannot say much. Mine is a default one. Brutality, more physical damage. Obviously, if you have the budget, awaken. Multi-strike. Fortify for defense and DPS at the same time, obviously. Because we are also playing with Fortify and we have Fortify all the time. I also use this part here to be even tankier, and this also gives some DPS, attack speed, attack damage. So this wheel is also very good. What else? Impale, obviously this is an Impale build. So last gems. While mapping you want melee splash. Since we already have one strike here, I haven't used what's that? Ancestral Call. Let's just also show that. So Ancestral Call, if you have the money, awaken maybe. But this is actually worse. I tested this, so melee splash is better. I advise you to play with this, but you can just try this if you are curious. So yeah. So this is my setup while mapping. And once you are at a very big boss, like a Guardian Shaper, whatever, just swap this with melee physical damage. If you have the money, awaken, because that also provides Intimidate, which provides millions of DPS. But you can just use a normal melee physical damage if you want. You will maybe lose 1 or 2 million DPS, I'm not sure. So yeah, these are the gem setup. Buffs on our weapon. We are also using Enhance to boost qualities. Blood Rage, attack speed. Because the quality also gives attack speed, it also gives DPS thanks to Enhance. Berserk, we are pressing this at a boss fight because we need some rage. We are going to take a look at around what to do at the boss rotation part. So check timestamps for that if you are curious. So also let's see how much Enhance gives DPS. Oh yeah, more than 1 million. This is actually level 3. I was very lazy to buy this. I played with level 3 Enhance on all my builds actually. Because I was always lazy to buy one. But actually a 4 level has a very big impact. Lots of DPS, so you can also get at level 4 if you want. Totems on our weapon 2, shield, protector, phantasmal is important for buff effect. Make sure you get this. Most people forgot this for some reason. They just send me their pet of buildings and all of them has a default one. Because you lose more than 1 million DPS. It's a very important, simply broken phantasmal quality. Wall Ancestral Worship, if you have the cooldown ready, just pick Wall. If you don't have that, just use a normal one obviously. So totems together, thanks to multiple totems, you can summon all of them at the same time. And also thanks to this, we are getting a lot of DPS, simply broken, ridiculous stuff. Again, maybe that will get nerfed, I'm not sure, we will see. Mobile setup, Leap Slam, I'm using that. Endurance Charge, melee stun to get easier endurance charges. Blood Magic for free cast. Finally, if you want Culling Strike for some reason, go for that. I actually tried that, you don't need that actually, just go for faster attacks. But you can do that if you want. So just pick whatever you want. But faster attacks probably is way better for mapping. Gloves, this is where my buffs are. It doesn't matter where you put them. You can also put these on your boots if you want. It is not important. Pride for physical damage, obviously. Thread banner, impale chance, and impale effect, so more DPS obviously. Precision, just level this until your mana is comfortable. If you don't have a minus mana cost on your jewelry, I only have 2. You can also use only 1 if you want. Just play around with that precision level and just lock it wherever you are comfortable. I have something like 78 mana, it seems, with 31 mana cost on my Flicker, so that is enough for me. But if you maybe get 3 different jewelry with maybe minus mana cost, you can even level this more, get 1% additional hit chance, because I'm not kept on hit, alright? Maybe you can go for better precision or a lower one depending on your mana, so you have to figure this out on your own. And finally, to reduce the mana cost, obviously the reservations, enlighten. That's why you also need some decent intelligence, so an amulet or a ring maybe is a very good way to get some intelligence. Molten Shell, because we have a lot of armor, this provides insane absorption. This is on my left mouse button, the normal Molten Shell. We also have a wall Molten Shell, you can just press it whenever you want, whenever you need that extra absorption. Maybe you are fighting the boss, or maybe you are at a legion, those kind of stuff. Just press that wall Molten Shell, it provides thousands of additional absorption compared to a normal Molten Shell. And also increased duration, because most of the times monsters cannot even destroy that shield. That's why increased duration helps, so it lasts longer. And last buff, Flesh and Stone plus Maim. I'm actually on Blood Stance all the time, I didn't need that blind. Also we are getting that DPS buff all the time. But while mapping you can just go for Sand Stance for, you know, more defense, because it blinds nearby targets and you also take less damage. Where is that? You take 11% less damage from attacks from enemies that aren't nearby. So yeah, you can play on Sand Stance if you want, but I always played in Blood Stance, because while flickering around, most enemies cannot even hit you. So unlike a Cyclone, you are way faster. That's why I pick Blood Stance all the time. Don't forget that Maim, because it provides millions of DPS. And that's it, I believe. This Blood Rage is on my weapon. You don't need that because this is only a level 1. So you can get a different paradoxical if you want, so this does nothing actually. Assassin Mark on our ring. Aspect of Cat, we already talked about this in this section. So you need a item with a socket. So my ring is an unset ring. If you don't have an unset ring, put aspect on your gloves or boots. Because other pieces are unique, you cannot put that on those pieces. Because restoration is very important. You will save a lot of seconds, so you will get those strength charges way faster, very important. So you have to get this restoration socketed on your item with aspect of Cat. Alright, this is very, very important. And finally, Pantheons. I'm always playing with Arakali on these kind of melee builds to get that shock reduction stuff, and also avoid lightning damage, stuff like that. So yeah, you can also go for Lunaris or Solaris if you want, but Arakali is my choice. Miners, Aberrat for reduced ignite duration and unaffected by burn ground is good. Where's that? This is also good. Cannot be blinded, because some monsters, especially on legions, maybe they blind, so you cannot hit them. Sometimes you miss, so being blind immune is also good for mapping most of the times. You can also get that, but if you are farming Harbingers or those kind of stuff, Aberrat is very important because they do burn ground all the time. And that's it. We are gonna also have a little boss rotation, what to do on bosses. What's that part? A little quick, explanation, and that's gonna be end of the guide. So here's a quick what to do on bosses. Maybe your boss DPS is lower for some reason, maybe you are missing some cooldowns. So on a boss, you obviously want to put your totems, Ancestral Protector and Wild Ancestral Warships. Since we don't have much space for a normal one actually, maybe you can put it on second bar, the normal ones, Ancestral, maybe you can do something like this, but it is harder, so yeah. That's why I only have Wall on my first skill bar. So make sure you put your totems, pop blood rage. So for berserk we actually don't have any rage if we are not doing anything. That's why we need a second weapon slot for this. So this is actually a new skill, unless it is get nerfed or something. This is a very good way to get some insane burst DPS. So first of all, do not put any buffs on your weapons because they will get deactivated. So that's why I am using totems and some pressed, cooldowns. So just weapon swap. Make sure you put some good fast weapons. Since we are playing with a sword, I picked sword. So these are very cheap because they are uniques. So with increased attack speed, corruptions, I bought 2 of these Fidelitas spikes. So chain hook to generate rage, because this skill already gives 1 rage if it hits an enemy, plus rage support, plus faster attack. But we need Hydro Spear, this new skill, so if something happens to this, maybe we cannot do this anymore. So just put this before a very big boss. Start using that chain hook. As you can see, we can generate insane rage in a couple of seconds. And again, okay, we are ready now. Just weapon swap, totems, blood rage, berserk, flasks, and flicker. That's it. You can also press Val Molten Shell after you press your flask, because if you press Lion's Roar you will have more armor. That means that, let's just check. So this is normal Molten Shell right now, almost 3k absorption. So let's wait a little. Let's see how much it gives with more armor. As you can see, more than 4k, so we got maybe at least 1000 additional absorption. That's why you have to press your Molten Shell. If you have Val Molten Shell, obviously that. After you press your flasks, because more armor means more absorption. If you are for some reason playing on sandstands on maps, I already explained this, but you don't need this in this build actually. That's why I'm always on bloodstands. You actually have to press that also before a boss, because there are a lot of buttons, totems, berserk, blood rage, weapon swap. My Flesh and Stone is always on bloodstands, alright. If you want to do that, you also have to weapons do something like this maybe, or put that here. I'm not sure. Things are getting more harder. That's why always put Flesh and Stone on bloodstands and you will be good, because this character is very tanky. You don't need that extra mitigation from Flesh and Stone. Where is that? Yeah. Take less damage from hits that aren't nearby, whatever, and also blind. My actually, what's that? Paradoxica already has a blind, so I am actually blinding enemies with some chance. Obviously, maybe you can also get something like this if you want, for some additional defense, because blind halves the target's accuracy and crit chance, I believe. So a very good way to get some extra defense, And yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and don't forget to join my Discord, guys, because I share some item search results, those kind of stuff, so you can buy the items cheaper earlier, those kind of stuff. So there is no reason not to join. Alright, just join, mute the channel, and just check whenever you want, and I will see you later.